$19,000, we went down to $21,395. So just a slight decrease, but we are decreasing some of our expenditures while increasing in some of our function areas due to the way that we had to reallocate some things. So instruction is function 11, and that one has a slight decrease. And a large part of that is due to some of our older teachers are retiring, and so we're getting more new teachers, and so we're paying less per teacher. We haven't cut any positions. In fact, we've added some to function 11, but the age and the years of experience is being replaced with younger teachers.
Hey, Doc. No, that's all right.
If you have any,
I'm in a whirlwind.
I'll let John look through there, but if you have any questions on anything, we added to function 51 money just due to the age of our facilities and the need for repairs in some of our construction. So you'll see that that one is a little bit higher, but it's just so that all money could be put into for the AC groups and things like that.
What did our deficit end up being? Or I know you projected it quite a bit lower. Oh, I'm sorry.
Single page, and it's just like a skyward.
Oh, I see it. Yep.
And I highlighted a couple areas that were over.
Okay.
But if you look that the budget was originally $21 million, and so far it looks like we may end up being close to. So we didn't spend as much as we were anticipating, and most of our budgets stayed within, except for those. The athletic budget was for quite a bit, but some of that was due to sound system.
Yes.
And we had to put turf, repair the turf at the softball baseball field, but then we'll also have to put Coach Neves thinks the football field may.
Can we use bond money?
That is for the balance of, we do have the approximately $3 million that we need to get that spent.
Oh no, let's spend it.
And having it invest.
And then spend it on that.
And so we need to get, we have that list from the steering committee.
Yeah, let's start looking at that.
Items for big ticket items that we don't have. And the things that are needed crucially are the infrastructure items and not specific items that a lot of those steering committee items.
And I did talk to the ladies on the steering committee because I didn't want it to look like we were disregarding what they were saying. So I talked to Ms. Vest at length about that, and I kind of explained what our methodology is that sometimes something may be ranked number one for them, but it's a cosmetic item, and then we have a critical item that we have to handle further down the list, or it's such a big item and we don't have that much money, we try to spread the money out further, and she was understanding of that. And I say that because I went to eat at the beginning, and Claudia asked me when we made the repairs to the admin building why we were doing that, because that wasn't on their list, and I was like, well, okay, hold on, let me explain here. But she did mention, and I've mentioned this to you before, just bringing it back to the top of the list, that the band hall was a priority for them too. So if we do find ourselves with money, that after we take care of those critical items that for that particular committee, and just because I want to honor their time and effort, that the band hall.
That might be a route for something. So they have to fix water leaks.
No, we did.
I'm sorry to hijack your conversation.
They're all around caulking and sealing and doing all the tilt walls. That was done for roofing. We haven't done anything. That might be something.
Yeah, they just mentioned it, and again, I just want to honor their time and effort. And I don't ever,
Definitely.
I don't ever want people to feel like, well, I did all that and they didn't even listen to me. So
The training program is very successful.
very,
The
very.
kids are enjoying it, and,
It's a good program.
we need to make sure that we are investing in this.
Yeah, so one thing I would like to do is start off, it wouldn't hurt to get bond counsel, and it won't be much of a review. But just look at the original language of the bond and make sure that if there is something that has come up, that it's not having seen the original language, it was probably written in such a way that would allow for infrastructure type, but we still need to verify that. Two, look at our facilities needs. And then, three, as far as with the committee and everything, go through and, and look at what their priorities were, and if there's any new priorities that have just come up,
Mhm.
and just have that conversation so, you have that transparency. And,
Have they given you the facility study that we did with Region 5?
it has been referenced,
drafted.
but I physically have not taken possession of that.
Well, I think it's like 50 pages long too.
Yeah.
It's not a light read. But
And
we
there's
settled
also,
on
even with that, time has passed.
Mhm.
So, like one of the things I'm always look at is like the outer envelope of the building. I mean, there's just you're constantly
Mhm.
trying to upkeep buildings and everything. So it's just kind of looking at that, and also maybe looking at it not with a better set of eyes or anything like that, but just a different
fresh
set,
a fresh
and
set of eyes.
and just kind of go through and just with doing construction since 2005, there's just those things that I always worry about, So, but I think that would be wise as far as as far as the money there. Also, with the arbitrage, and this was just a brief conversation that we had today. I know that there was a study done on that with Mr. Witt, who's the financial advisor. There's Mr. Davis may know a little bit on this, but there's what's called a demand deposit. They're called slug funds, savings and loan government securities. And at my last district, that was a different vehicle that you could move the money from one account to another account, and legally, as far as in our case, we weren't going to have to be responsible for the arbitrage.
Yeah.
And it may be something. Anyway, I want to look at that to see if that would save us on some of the arbitrage, or at least reduce it. So we are exploring that, but I didn't. And it's funny, as long as I've been doing this, I didn't know about slug funds until probably about 4 years ago. That's something that a school district can legally do and meet the needs of the IRS and everything. And then one thing, I don't know how much, because I'm still new, but we've had discussions as far as how much the LIFT grant is going to hopefully offset some of this to free up local monies. So as far as looking for opportunities, but if we already have a balanced budget with not all those things factored in, Mrs. Duhan's done a very good job.
Well, if you look at the bottom, this one is still a proposed deficit budget, but the one we had last year was also a proposed deficit budget. So we kind of budget a little bit on the higher end and then try to.
In actual, right. You said actual, we're almost close to being at even.
And we've done that every year that I've been on board, which it made me very uncomfortable at first. And then they kind of explained to me, and I will say this would be, last year we had a small deficit, 200 or 300,000, but yeah, that would be only the second year that we've actually had a deficit. And it's not anything we want to do, of course, but times are what they are.
Right.
And your goal is in the school business is just to break even, where you have enough to pay your bills should something happen for about 6 months, but you want to spend this year's taxpayer money on this year's kids, next year on next year, and so forth. But we're still looking at a $1.3 million deficit with this, and it does include the 3% raise. If you look at the
Second page.
Is the 240, which is our cafeteria fund, and these are estimated revenues based on revenues that we received from estimated expenditures. And 599 is our bond debt payment. So really don't do anything with this money except pay off our bond.
Right, and there's just a couple of things I'd like to note on this. So Mrs. Duhon told me today that with the cafeteria budget, it would be higher than what is thought. But as far as in the past, they've always been able to cover things with grants and everything. So, right, which is that's outstanding. So on the first page, function 35, that is 30,000 that would be paid in from general over to help supplement the cafeteria. But like I said, we haven't had to do it.
And we know how lucky we are
But that's good. But that's good
to have
insurance.
Tiana. Yeah.
Yeah, she, on the way, we come up with something, a little bit that we can get paid this year out of because she was getting from the grant, so we can take from the grant.
Yeah.
Fund balance for your general budget to.
And then something that was a conversation hasn't happened either. But as far as equipment, if any of that bond, I don't know where we are as far as high dollar equipment for cafeteria.
I know that was a conversation that whenever I was on the bond council for this one, and the dishwashers weren't working at the elementary school, and we were having to use disposable. So I think they got all that. They had to redo some flooring, some piping in the floor because it was.
Yes, they did it,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And another issue right now is also the stove up in the high school.
No, well, she pays electric, the only campus does electric, everybody else is gas. So I don't think we can get a bigger electric stove to fit in the area that's there. It would be nice if you go to gas, but that's a whole nother project.
Yeah, with the plumbing and everything, and then do y'all use commercial kitchens out of Beaumont?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, because we had to get an electric at the last one, and I was surprised that. Anyway, that's something we can look at.
And then on the next page, just kind of basically shows a breakdown of our budget. You see, the majority of the budget goes to payroll, and then the other part of it is for contracted services and supplies, travel and fees, capital outlays, just showing you what our piece of the pie looks like. The next page is just our tax rate, and basically our tax rate is proposing to stay the same as it was this past year. Starting with our financial advisors on bonds and recommended that we stay with 50-cent finance rate.
That was the second thing I was going to say earlier that I did. Sorry, thank you for catching that.
So, start your tax rate at at 60, and we add our 6 cents to it. 60 cents. On the next page, it's just a basic estimate. You see is our certified values, 52. And then you have your freeze adjustment. This is after they take out taxation and all that. And you have the next is just an estimate of taxes based on the 6% tax rate. And then you have 50 cents.
And as far as the certified values that came out on the 25th, Mrs. Duhon told me that that's about 20 million lower than last year.
There's a little bar graph that shows you where we're certified values.
Hey, take your drink, okay? Make sure you drink plenty of water.
That it's that much lower due to.
Oh, here it is. Yeah. Right here.
And so you see where the property.
And just historically, it was about what, a $40,000 homestead exemption, then it was raised to $100,000, and then this last year, $140,000 for homestead exemption.
And so, and then you get to the FE study where we have, we had the big study last year that we had presented to you. This is just the maintenance part where they do they continue to compare us at a smaller scale than what we have. And then they give us the information for this is what it is, and this is what it is. And if you look on, it has a breakdown of all the different job placements. But if you look to the page, the new teacher, it has the exact amount of it. So, if you look on the page 14, at 2%, our starting teacher pays at 63,000, and then it increases on incrementally depending on the number of years experience they have. And remember, the raise is based off of the midpoint, and so the midpoint is about 15 years, and so they take 3% of that, and that's what's added to everyone's salary. And that's the way they do it for all the jobs. If you look on the 2% on the page that's right beside that one, it kind of in the last little column where the boxes are, that's the amount of raise that each person would receive at that particular monthly job.
So that would be by month, that raise by month, okay.
Each one has the three numbers in it, some have 2 or 1, but it's based on however many months that particular job works.
Gotcha.
And then if you go to where the green pages are, which is on page 21, then that it raises our teacher scale, the starting pay to 63,550. And then it shows you on the following pages the amount of increase per person per job.
And 3% is your recommendation?
Yes, if you, because the pages I gave you, due to these 2 pages, if you look, this is our insurance, and TRS is going to be on the insurance. And so the page that doesn't have the yellow column, Nicole put together the amount of increase. So if someone gets just the primary plan, then it shows you on the last column how much their monthly payments are going to be. If you compare that to what the employee pays, you already see that if they, on the primary plan, if they are putting their family on it, they're paying $16.05 a month for their insurance.
Is there any way, I've said this before and it got shot down pretty quick, but can we just look at Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, some other, because now you can opt out of TASB or TRS's insurance. Can we just take a look and see what it would be? Because to me, that is just absolutely insane that our insurance is that high for people that make such little money.
I
It
pay
just-
$0 a month for my
Zero.
health, dental, and vision. My family is less than,
It's $350 a month for my whole family.
correct. I carry my entire family, except Justin, because he's free as well. But I carry my 3 kids on mine, and it's $350 a month.
But to me, this is
It
just
is,
insane.
it hurts my stomach to look at this and think of the quality of healthcare that you guys are getting is, you know,
And
how
y'all's
do you afford to
insurance
go to the
isn't that
doctor
great.
when you're paying $1,600 a month? Plus my medicine alone's $1,000 a month. I wouldn't be bringing home a check, and
But
I have
to
a
me,
master's degree.
It wouldn't, I think it would be at least in good faith to say, hey, Blue Cross Blue Shield, that's who the county uses, Blue Cross Blue Shield. How could y'all rate us for insurance? And just see what they say. I mean, if they're better than TRS, I think you have to stay out for 3 years or 5 years,
5 years.
something like that if you opt out. But
And we had, our CRS was just the people who kind of house the insurance. At one point, we did have Blue Cross Blue Shield that was through them. They're the ones who facilitate our rates. They contract with TRS. And then, y'all had approved raising employee contribution. What it was, 240 to now 330. But they're still, the increase now is $211 for a family per month. That's why we were proposing the higher rate for raises just to help offset the cost of insurance.
I mean, and it's too late to, and I understand it's too late to say, okay, we're gonna go with a different insurance company for this school year, but just looking in the future, maybe trying to try something different, because like Sam said, that just, it hurts to look at this, because these people come here and work really hard every day, and TRS just doesn't give them a fair shake, in my opinion.
How many?
Got 267.
67.
That use the
I don't know that all, several of us don't.
You're on Randy's.
If we are fortunate enough to have spouses who are able to provide it.
Understandable.
You couldn't live off of that. That's shocking to me. Well,
At my last district, we did that, we opted out, and at first, well, what happened, if it had been the year prior, we would have had a savings, but then it would have gotten us year 2. So, anyway, the rates were, like, these are bad, like, just me changing insurance is way better now being back on TRS Active Care. So, what they'll do is, most of the groups that started, they had a co-op, and everybody was joining the co-op and all that. Well, then when everything got expensive, they weren't letting new people in. So then you're on your own. So they would just take your 200, because if not everybody's doing the insurance, let's say there's 200 people, then they would look at everything and calculate what kind of risk. So we can look at it again. I just want to warn you that it may even, it's more than likely it's going to be worse than this.
I
And
feel better though, knowing that we at least.
yeah, you're right. Yeah. So it is, High Island has to, I think, limp 2 or 3 more years. I think maybe 2 years after this year. And then, like in December, like 6 months before you want to opt back in, you have to send them official notice and all that. But, yeah, at one time, and I was the one that recommended it, because when I was in West Texas, and I was one of the last ones not to do it, because it was one of these, it was too good to be true. So there was about 5 years, there was a sweet spot where, all the small districts got out and were saving a lot of money. And then, about the year after I left West Texas, the rates went through the roof. And when, because the sentiment is that the legislature wasn't going to do anything for health insurance. Well, we were wrong. They actually, whatever biennium that was, they actually paid into, rates still went up, but they paid in enough to where their rates were were more competitive than everyone that got out of the system. And then, so then everyone had to do their, their 5 years of purgatory and everything, to get back into TRS. So it's pretty rough, but it is crazy. And I'm thinking, and I don't know, but maybe for the county, maybe they're pulling everyone, how many counties, there's 160.
There's 362.
Yeah, well, I used to know this in 7th grade, Texas history.
There's a badge that we all wear for tax.
Yeah, it's 254, yeah. So that's 254 counties are probably, if not all of them, most of them may be
We
pulled
pull
in one.
to TAC, the Texas
Yeah, to TAC.
Association of Counties that partners with Blue Cross. And I mean, to your point, we're actually self-insured. We partner through Blue Cross Blue Shield, but Tax Insurance Cooperative actually pays out as opposed to Blue Cross Blue Shield. But maybe there's a partnership we can leverage.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because there's a Beaumont group that they wouldn't let us join because of our risks. But anyway, there may be a Beaumont group that we can look at. So
So if you look on page 10, where the colored pages were, it does kind of show you the cost difference between the raises. 2%, the cost is $332,000. The total amount for salaries will be $14,043,000. And then if we went to the 3% rate, it raises it to $508,000, and then that just increased our, they didn't add directly there, they did it, like, wait a minute, that's the same number. So, anyway, it would be, it's about a $200,000 increase to go ahead and do 3%.
Conservative voting again. So
I agree. And we have 3%.
And it was just to help offset that insurance
I
cost.
agree. This chart here kind of shows how we're doing compared to other districts.
Yes, sir.
That's important too. We've got to compete with our neighbors.
And
Let's
it,
be competitive based on that.
they included several charts, just kind of went back and looked at us, our information. And the areas where we are really aligned to, where the people have been here for a long period. They kind of built their way back up.
This line here is where we're at.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's where
That's where we compare to other districts.
Do we need to make adjustments like, for the principal and that stuff again? This is old.
This was from
Okay.
25, 26.
Okay, because I remember we had made adjustments, but I wasn't sure if we needed to make another one.
We did.
So our principal was way off. I don't know. She caught you up on that, but if you look at this, they were actually taking a pay cut by the day to go be a principal.
I got you.
Same thing happens when you become a diet.
And
I'll
so
stand on that soapbox forever.
we know. It's a worthy soapbox. But anyway, so we made an adjustment based on their recommendation last year and just did like a salary adjustment.
Like on page 4 for school our size, we are in the higher grade.
I'm good with that. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
And it's not that far off from,
We're pretty comparable.
Yeah, the difference starts in at year 10. If you compare us to, say, Barbersville by year 10, they've made a there and there, and I don't know.
Well, they got more money than God. So. Okay.
But starting off, I think we're
competitive.
great competitive.
Especially like in New Hampshire.
Yeah, and I think, and again, I'm new, but, taking this, if there's any way that we can turn this into messaging or marketing and stuff, and
I agree.
just taking a snip. And, one, just for the, of course, people are working here and their insurance is still going up. But it's still at least showing, there's that effort. And then as far as it just in the area.
Check I'll donate to the cause.
Oh, right.
Well, for now.
And the insurance is high for everyone else too.
Right.
All the other districts have high insurance too.
Yeah, we're not.
Oh, yeah, they're all in TRS.
That's what I mean.
99%.
It's just high everywhere, unfortunately.
Like we learned a couple of years ago, the Social Security is a benefit for us. We need to be educating about why.
Yeah, that's right.
So I missed that TRS number that's stabbed across the board. That's
3% at the midpoint, like always. So a little bit more towards the lower end and less towards the high.
like these numbers are pretty well. Yeah, right. Because I see we're paying $330. I didn't know how that tracks it. Yeah. Right.
Are you talking about the employee
No,
contribution?
Employee payment.
I don't know that we'll ever have that.
It depends on what the district contributes.
I would wager to bet that everybody's is slightly different based on the number of employees participating. Risk factors like those hippies at the beach getting Hep C, and they're a little higher. But and then,
And I understand that part of the reason teacher insurance is so expensive. As in, you're gonna have a baby, so that's the way it was explained to me, is that's part of the reason teacher insurance is so expensive, just because they don't look at the.
Yeah, because back in the day, like back in the 80s, the state troopers had the cheapest insurance because it was all a bunch of young males at that time. And they were talking about putting the state troopers with the rest of the state employees, and they went sideways on not wanting to do that for obvious reasons, because they were going to be with all the other state employees that might be overweight or like I said, bearing children and everything else. Yeah. But that does, and I also, and now I haven't read up on it, so I'm not an expert on it, but I want to say that TRS, there may be regional, so like if you're in the San Antonio area. Yeah, there you go, yeah, so by region. Yeah, but as far as where it says AISD pays, by statute, it's $225 minimum. And then some districts are able to pay more, contribute more than others. And it's a balancing act. It's, you may raise the employee contribution more, but as far as you may not get a bigger raise because
That's what I was wondering. In lieu of a raise, have we ever went up on that 330?
Yes, sir. According to.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I see. Yeah, if you participate, because that's the deal. That's something else. So if you don't, so if you're lucky to be on your spouse's Exxon insurance and it don't take the school insurance, well then if we're paying $330 or $400 a month, you don't get that. It's only for the people that elect to take the school insurance. So that, and I'm sure on the TASB salary deal, there is a filter that they could probably let us know, like how much each district contributes as far as what the average is. I know at the last district I was at, it was at 400, but it was less. I mean, shoot, it was an eighth of the staff, and half of those were on their spouse's insurance as well, or retired rehire.
When I worked for Barbers Hill, they actually, if I remember right, they paid her for taking my insurance, so she wouldn't take the school's insurance.
Yeah, there's some tricks. Yeah,
There's a incentive to not use
That's
their
their
insurance.
assumption.
I said like $100 a paycheck or something.
I would have these offers that that's the call. I don't deal in that world every day. She just tells me.
So what I was thinking, if it's only 40 employees, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's probably about 50%.
If half the teachers, we
Yeah,
sell.
We do have quite a few employees that work just for insurance purposes, like maybe for whatever reason, they're not on there. Husbands, some of our aides maybe only work for the insurance.
Maybe their husbands are contractors or something. They
Yeah,
make really good money, but they don't have insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not being one of those.
That's how I started at the county. And I accidentally became the breadwinner. Been downhill ever since.
We can find that number.
So do y'all have any questions on this? So this budget will, if this is the, like, scenario, then we have to post it for 30 days, or up to 30 days. And then it's the adoption.
I would like to consider looking into possibly the people that are paying for the insurance through the district or the people that need it. So an extra contribution to those people is a lot more beneficial to do it blanket rate because those would need more. Not that everyone pays it for it. I think it would have a better impact